Coming up, we have our first installment of Beyond the Parks. This week, we talk about Disney's Aulani. And we have a contest where you have a chance to win a 6-day, 5-night stay at Disney's Aulani. All that coming up on this edition of the Diz Unplugged. This is the Diz Unplugged, episode 629 for the week of July 16th, 2013. The Diz Unplugged is brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel, experts at helping you plan the perfect Disney World, Disneyland, Disney Cruise Line, Adventures by Disney, and Aulani vacation. Visit them on the web at www.dreamsunlimitedtravel.com. Well, welcome everybody. This is the Diz Unplugged, and we're coming to you from the Bob Varley Studio here in Orlando, Florida. I am your host, Dustin West, and I'm joined at the table this week by John Magi, Kevin Close, there he is, Sean Thompson.
What's that nice?
Corey Martin. And back in the production nook, we have our associate producer, Craig Williams. Again, I am Dustin West. I am filling in as host this week for Pete Werner, who is away for personal reasons. And like I said in the previous show, of course, we were really missing him on this episode with Beyond the Parks on all three of these episodes. He was a huge part of that trip.
This is tough because we did everything all together.
Yeah.
So it's like we're talking about this stuff, but
one person's not here. We certainly wish he was here. But we have some cool stuff to talk about with Aulani, including a 6-day, 5-night stay at Disney's Aulani. That some point during the show we are going to reveal our contest and how you can have a chance to win that. But first, I just thought we could maybe go around and have an open discussion for people that don't know, that are Disney fans. That don't know that much about Aulani. What would you guys say is the best way to describe Aulani to someone who's never been, in particular Disney fans?
It's a hotel in Hawaii.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Would you like to leave now?
Yes, you're done.
You're done.
You're done here.
In my personal opinion, it's the most beautiful Disney resort that's currently out there. I think it's far and above any other resort made. It's different because it's not overtly Disney. It's not over the top Disney. And I just think it's a great resort. If you're looking to do a trip to Hawaii, the best way to go is to go with a name you love and trust. Disney's going to do it right.
I was joking before, but we went to Vero Beach. And while it's not the same, it reminds me of Vero Beach. It is it's not overtly Disney, but there's Disney touches everywhere.
Right. I love that you're not hit over the head with Disney, but you find those Disney touches everywhere. It feels like a very exclusive resort. Like you are so far away from, you are. You're so far away from everything else, and it kind of has that exclusive resort feel to it where you can really just relax.
The way I kept seeing it was almost as if it was a deluxe resort here on property, but just on steroids. Like, it was unbelievable to me, the way it was done.
Well, first of all, the buildings themselves are massive.
Oh, it's huge.
But the way it's laid out with the pool.
Absolutely.
Kind of reminds me, in that sense, it kind of reminds me of the Wilderness Lodge.
I felt like it was a good combination of the Wilderness Lodge, kind of the layout of like Animal Kingdom Lodge, but then also like kind of Polynesian touches.
At some point, did you find yourself like looking for the monorail? Saying like the monorail should be going through this resort.
It felt,
it does. It feels like
it does. It feels huge, and I mean the same kind of things that you expect from a Disney deluxe resort. Yeah,
that was one of the things that actually it's one of the negatives I found. It is huge. I thought it lost a little bit of its intimacy. The things were across town. It seemed like things were on the other side of the resort. It's a big place. Huge. It's bigger than other Disney resorts.
Yeah.
See, I never got that impression at all. I found myself trying to go as far away and escape. Like, it just felt so claustrophobic, but not in a bad way. Like, it was absolutely beautiful. But you're in Hawaii, you want to see everything else too. And, we'll talk about that. But, I mean, the resort is second to none the best Disney resort I've ever stayed at. I've been to Hilton Head. I've been to the one that you just said, Vero Beach. Yeah, I've been there, and I've been to pretty much all of them.
And those two in those two resorts specifically, Aulani's following that same model in a way. Vero Beach and Hilton Head, the resort away from Disney property, but in an exotic location.
The other thing I would say is we were there fairly soon after the resort opened. Mm-hmm. So we might have a difference of opinion there.
Yeah.
That could make a difference.
I apologize for interrupting. I'm interested to hear what these guys have to say now that the resort has been open, and some of the things that we found the resort lacking. Find out how that stuff has improved.
And likewise, I was there right at opening week,
right,
and to see what has changed from that point to now.
Okay, so I thought the first thing before we go on any further, I think maybe we should introduce our contest. And like I said, we are giving away a chance to win a 6-day 5-night stay at Disney's Aulani, and that does include ground transfers to and from the airport. Correct?
Mm-hmm. Correct. Yes. That is sponsored by Dreams Unlimited Travel. We're giving away a stay at Disney's Aulani Resort and Spa. One of the things that you'll get ground transfers from Honolulu International Airport to Aulani and back. If you choose to rent a car, we'll work something out with you as far as offsetting the price of the car. Does not include your airfare or any food or meals or anything like that.
Well, Sean, why don't you set this up? You've kind of got the internal workings of it.
All right, yeah. So what we're going to do is it's a contest. So we have a phrase that we're going to show on the screen for the video edition, but we're also going to read it out loud for anybody listening to the audio show. So basically what you need to do is you need to take the phrase. There's 3 separate words. Unscramble each word. And then there's just a form on our site at disunplug.com/contest. And then just enter the phrase, unscrambled, and your information, your name, and your email address, and then you'll be entered to win. And so it's open for the next week. So you have until then to do it. So I'll just go ahead and read the phrase. Now I'm going to read it scrambled. So I'm going to read each word separate.
Get your pen and paper.
Exactly. If you're listening, yes.
Well, will the scrambled words also be on the website?
Yes, this slide will be up there,
okay,
but I do want to read it for the audio show. Okay. So word 1 is NAHOA. The second word is SMENA. And the third word is LYAFIM.
And again, you can find this on the disunplugged.com and disunplugged.com/contest. It's where you can unscramble these words, fill them in, and put in your information, and you'll be entered for a chance to win a 6-day, 5-night stay.
I do just want to say that the phrase is related to something Hawaiian or Aulani or Disney, just in general.
Right.
So, I mean, it's not too hard.
Yeah.
You'll probably figure it out. But
and what we'll be doing is taking all of the right answers and choosing a person at random.
Exactly.
Correct.
When will we announce the winner?
I believe we're going to save the announcement until our August 6th show.
Okay.
And we're going to do, since we have 3 of these contests, one for each of the Beyond the Parks episodes, we're going to save all 3 of those and then announce them all together on the 6th.
Excellent.
That's a big day.
It is a big day.
Cool beans.
Cool.
We have some terms and conditions of the contest, who's eligible, who's not, what exactly is included, and that'll be linked from the contest page as well.
Sorry, Martin family.
Right.
I can't participate.
Employees, agents, affiliates, people who know us are not eligible.
People have seen our face.
Exactly. If you can hear my voice. No, that's not true.
Very good. Well, thank you for getting that all sorted out. Very excited about that. Now we're going to talk about Aulani. Oh, what's going on over here?
Oh, no, I have the database open, so I'm seeing the responses come in.
Oh,
so people are answering already?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Calm down, people.
Wow.
Enjoy the show. It'll be up there for a while.
So,
overachievers.
Just want to just want to mention, kind of, for those of you who don't know that weren't following along with our live shows while we were on the road, we did Beyond the Parks. This was 3 different locations. Our first stop was Disney's Aulani, and then we made our way to the Disney Wonder, going on the Alaskan cruise, and then ended up on the Backstage Magic ABD. So we have 3 shows. We're talking about this, but of course this is our Aulani show. And on that trip was Pete, myself, Sean, and Craig, and we got to spend quite a lot of time at Aulani. And most of it was work, but there was a lot of pleasure there as well.
Absolutely.
But I mean, when we first got there, it was just hit the ground running, scoping out places to shoot, figuring out where we were going to do that live show.
Yeah, because we got there Monday night, and then the live show was the next day at, I think it was 3:00 our time. So We had to work.
Talk about
quick.
jet lag.
Oh yeah,
So I
there's
say,
no
let's,
time.
Let's talk a little bit about that first experience, because I don't know what you guys, after traveling for so long and after flying for so long, you almost can't appreciate this resort. You're so tired and you just want to sort of crash for a little bit. We walked in and they're trying to tell you about the artwork and the history, and you're just like, give me a room now.
I felt that way up until I got off the airplane. And then the second we were in the airport, I was so excited.
Where'd you guys up?
Oh yeah, because the airport's so pretty. It's like retro, but it's like open air in some parts, and
Yeah.
I just loved it. And it just looks like Hawaii. It smells like Hawaii. The smell was very distinctive to me.
Was it?
Yeah, it
What did
smelled
it smell?
fresh and floral.
It's all the
Kind of-
orchids.
Because I think
Yeah.
I was sitting near the bathroom or something. That's what I thought.
in the airport. Yeah. No, I loved it. I was so excited. So once I got into the airport, I was just excited.
It is an exciting thing, especially after however long our flight was coming out of. Well, you guys had a different flight, but we were flying out of Atlanta, and that was a crazy long flight. But yeah, you're right. Once you land and you're in Hawaii, the excitement is really going. But I understand what you're saying too, John. Is like you're just tired.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're older, so
Well, Sean and I also had the benefit of flying from Salt Lake.
So we had a shorter flight.
Yeah, so we had a shorter flight, and as soon as we sat down on our Salt Lake plane, they were giving out Mai Tais and all the fruity
crazy,
island
yeah.
drinks, trying to really get you in the spirit, even though it's still going to be another 6 hours on a plane. But, I mean, that whole plane ride going from that way, it started the trip out right for us. For me, at least.
That's because you had 8 Mai Tais.
They had, like, no alcohol in them. They were...
Well, until the lady got to know us, and then she was making them good for us. But anyway, yeah. It was,
Yeah. Okay, so I think we should maybe kind of start talking about like the check-in process, the lobby, that whole area.
Well, do we want to show your video first?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We do have an overview video. In fact, we have a lot of videos that are going up this week on YouTube. So again, you can subscribe to our YouTube channel. The username is WDWinfo, and you'll find that all over WDWinfo.com, where you can subscribe to that. But this is one of our Aulani overview videos that we're going to play for you before we start talking. So here we go. All right, well, that was a little overview there, all different kind of stuff that Aulani has to offer throughout the day. But like I was saying, I think we want to start kind of with where you come in, and that's the lobby, which is just packed full of details in its own right.
Well, even before you get in the lobby, there's like pineapple water with like lemon and oranges outside, and
they'll greet you
with
with the
oh, it's fantastic. Yeah. So all the guys got like these
what kind of nuts are they called again?
They're the kukui.
Kukui nuts.
nuts.
Yeah, and they have a really high fat content, so don't eat them. They said we heard that multiple times on the trip.
Well,
Did you see
the
them?
kukui nut is the state nut of Hawaii. It's also referred to as the candle nut because it's got an oil inside of it that they can light on fire and make the torches that you also see around the entire resort.
Yeah, they're all over the resort, and they light them. They're not real ones, but they made like fake ones.
Yeah.
One of the things about Aulani that they explained to us, we went on a tour of pre-construction or during construction before it was open, and they explained to us that the lobby is not a typical resort lobby. You don't walk in and you're not hit with check-in desks.
Right.
Yeah.
They want you to come in and see the grand hall. They want you to experience the art. And also, because it's open from front to back, you get the feeling that the outside's in and the inside's out. And then check-in is off to the side. And that's all done on purpose because they want to greet you first and then get you over and start the check-in process.
Yeah.
As you walk in, the first thing you see is the pool area and the ocean straight through. And like you said, it is open air, quote unquote, because all the windows that would close in the lobby, they're able to open those up. I never saw them close them.
No, I asked them if they ever closed them, and they said sometimes, like I think she said like a handful of times because of weather, but all night long they're open.
Right.
It's so nice.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are details that you don't really see, right away. But I did the walking tour where you just walk around and they kind of explain different areas to you. And one thing with the lobby, you walk in and it's divided. Hawaiians believe that everything needs a male and female energy to maintain balance. So one side of the lobby represents the male side with the rocks and the running water, and the other side is female, and the water is very tranquil. And so the entire resort is divided like that.
And everything reflects that. Even like the artwork and the murals.
Yeah.
Everything has a purpose in this resort. One of the coolest things I thought were these windows that were at the ends of the sides of the lobby. One was facing the ocean. And you could see that in the stained glass. It was kind of blue tinted, and the design in the actual glass was kind of curvy with waves.
Right.
And then the side that faced the mountains, it was kind of like a brown tint, and everything was kind of more harsh. So there were like triangles and hard lines. So it was just these details were just so amazing to look at. And I mean, things that you wouldn't even notice at first, but then once you actually paid attention, and which is cool because that's what we see here in our resorts.
Did you see the compass rose too on the floor?
yeah.
And each side of that represents, there's one side that you point to the water, and the other side pointing to the land, and then the male and female with, I don't know what's in there yet, but I know
different rocks.
Yeah, the different rocks that represent.
And in the center was the Eva bird,
Right.
which is what the original Hawaiian people used to find the islands. Because it was like a compass, because the bird was flying to land.
What was really cool was we were there the day they were installing that, so we got to stand all around it and watch them put that in.
Oh, wow.
And they ran a little light show and stuff that goes with it.
Wasn't. There's a similar to leaving Epcot. There's lights in the floor, so they ran what they had for us. It was very neat to see them installing it.
We talked about this before the show started. All local artisans are used, and it's very, very predominant in the lobby. When you first walk into that entryway, there's that giant mural that goes around, and that tells the Hawaiian version of the creation, and that's what that represents, and how the Hawaiian people came to be.
Yeah, and there's even that has two halves to it. There's like this Hawaiian story in the front half when you first walk in, but then on the side facing the water, it's like Hawaii today, and all like it shows the beach.
Right.
And
There's a pre-contact side and then an after-contact side.
After contact. Yeah, because you guys got to take the lobby tour as well. Got to see all that cool stuff. And we're gonna have
I would definitely suggest doing that if you're going there. Don't just take it upon yourself to figure it out. Let them explain it to you, because there's a lot that you wouldn't see or notice if they didn't. I know I would.
No, and there's so many people willing to help you and answer your questions. And I mean, even it's not, you don't even need to set up like a time to do the tour. I mean, there was just kind of like a greeter in the lobby,
right?
And she was there to answer and tell stories and stuff like that.
Did they explain to you the wall behind the check-in with all the pictures?
I didn't hear that.
All local children were asked to send in pictures, and they used their pictures up there, but they used them in a color scheme to sort of be like a rainbow.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
how they were rearranged.
It's beautiful.
It's all children's pictures from the
Did you go out any day in Hawaii where you didn't see a rainbow? They were out all the time.
There were
It
rainbows
seemed-
everywhere, yeah.
double and triple rainbows?
Double rainbow.
Oh, did we?
Well, one thing to mention too is Sean already talked about everyone's willing to help you out. One of the cast members that we actually talked to was Aulani. She is a cultural representative, and I mean, she knew everything about this lobby. Like, she was the one who built it and designed it. Like, and there's more than one. There's more than just her, but everyone knows it. Like, they actually take pride in it, which is something that's amazing. Like, everyone loves that resort that works there. It's a part of them.
Yeah.
And so if you want to learn something about it, just stop and actually talk to them about
Did
it.
you guys get any of the history of the resort? Did they tell you about the building of the resort when you went?
Not necessarily the
not much.
construction. No.
There's a great deal of they just even started with the land. They brought in a great deal of local people, and there were local, for about like a better word, shaman. And so from the ground up, this is a Hawaiian project, so that it wasn't just Disney coming in and putting up a resort.
Yeah.
They wanted to tie in from the Hawaiian people, and that's influenced in the cast as well. The cast, if they're not Hawaiian, they're given that training to sort of respect what the architecture means.
Going off on that too, the one thing people like to call it Disney's Aulani Resort. They are very adamant about it. It's Aulani, a Disney resort and spa, because before anything, it's Aulani.
Correct.
It's
Right.
not Disney.
And that's another thing going off of that is everyone we asked outside of Aulani, so like different people in Hawaii or just like people that we saw, whenever we mentioned Aulani, they had the same thing to say, that it was done so well to Hawaiian culture and everything. It wasn't like a cartoonish representation. It was actually perfect. And it was respectful and just very accurate.
Yeah.
We had gotten the story of the land itself, and the man who owns, the man who originally started Ko Olina.
Right.
Aulani sits behind, is in a gated community, called Ko Olina. And Ko Olina has developed, there's golf courses, there's other resorts, private homes, golf homes, restaurants, and this piece of property sat vacant for a long time. And the gentleman who owned the land held it, hoping Disney would build a resort there. Reserved this piece of property because of the cove and the way it's situated.
But
he held it for a long
crescent.
He held it for quite a long time until Disney finally agreed to build a resort.
Yeah. Wow. He was really holding out hope then.
It worked.
Is there anything else you guys want to mention about the lobby other than there's like a million things in there that you can
Yeah, there's
just
so
get
many details.
lost?
One thing you'll probably notice in the lobby that I noticed were the light fixtures. They were all these gourds.
Yes.
And they're everywhere. So they were on like little poles. And basically there were these gourds that were used to hold things, and they would hang them up high to keep them out of other things' reach. So like if there were bugs or something or whatever.
Right.
But they'd hold water and food and everything. And one of the cool things is there's actually a little show that they do where like it's as if a gecko or a lizard had gotten into one of these gourds. And so you can just see him hanging out, but then every once in a while they'll do this show where he like dances around. Which is a cool detail.
Screened-in patio.
I was going to say, it's our backyard.
Yeah, we have plenty of those here.
Yeah. So it's just a million of those cool little details.
I'm sure they excite someone else. To us, it's don't let the dog eat it.
Right, yeah.
I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, but in the lobby there is a general store, very typical to Disney Vacation Club DVC properties, where you can get not only souvenirs, but you can get actual items to cook in your room, eat in your room. There's do you want to go ahead and describe what's in there?
Yeah, so actually, since you guys have been there, there's another shop. So there's now 2 stores.
Oh, wow.
Very close to each other. The first one is, like you said, it's kind of Aulani merchandise, so they have like toys and stuff in there,
Right.
but also sundries, so like milk and groceries and stuff like that.
Spam.
Yeah, they do have a lot.
Did they have spam?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
It's spam.
In this really fancy Hawaiian water that I wanted, but I ended up not getting it. But the second store is actually across the street, and it's where the old rental car office used
It's
to
not
be.
across the street.
Oh, I'm sorry, across the hallway.
Yeah.
Where the old rental car office was.
wow.
That was a
Okay.
pretty big space.
That
It's
was a big
huge.
space,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm pulling up pictures now, but it's themed after a birdhouse. So it's called, I forget the name of the store, but it's the Hawaiian word for birdhouse, and it's got these beautiful like birds hanging from the ceiling, and I really like the merchandise here in here a lot better. It's kind of more upscale. So this is where they had the Dooney and Burks.
Right.
They had really cool T-shirts, keychains,
Like
more
this
unique stuff. Yeah, this is where they had that shirt.
I went to Aulani and all I got was this shirt.
But yes, they had hats and keychains and all this cool stuff. They had DVC specific merchandise there too. But that was a newer store. And
That is new. That wasn't there when we were there. That's
No,
pretty
that
cool.
was my favorite shop. That was great.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of local stuff too. A lot of local art.
Yeah, in this store.
I was really into the fish hooks ever since leaving Aulani. I left or Hawaii. I left such with a passion for the Hawaiian culture. I love it. It was incredible. I tried to absorb as much as I could when I was there.
I was blown away by how welcoming everybody was. Not just the people that worked at Aulani, which were great, but just everybody that we came across.
I think my favorite story, just to talk about how nice the locals were. We were walking across a bridge whenever we went off property, and we're walking around, and a girl was just standing on the side of the bridge intending to jump off of it, and Pete just asked her if she would jump. So she was like, okay. And she just jumped off the bridge.
Mind you, it was only like 10 feet off the ground.
I was just going to say that needs more details.
Craig, this isn't the feel-good story you think it is.
They were doing it on purpose. They were in bathing suits. There was like a water hole kind of thing. So it's not like
She wasn't.
They're so nice. You tell them to jump off of a bridge, and they do.
They did. It was very nice.
So if your friends jumped off a bridge, would you? Sure.
Yeah, no, they weren't like high school kids, but they were very friendly. They weren't the punks you usually run across, around here. So
And like they knew we were tourists. We're just walking around.
Yeah.
We're not tan at all, even though we live in Florida. But it's like they were just doing it for fun, and they played along with it too. It was one of the most memorable things for me, at least.
absolutely love the Hawaiian culture, and you're going to find it. You're going to find it everywhere in Aulani, but especially like we were talking about in the lobby and in those shops. After of course.
Before we go on,
Okay.
I want to say something
Sure.
about that. I had a negative experience with that. I found, now again, we saw Aulani a year before you guys, a year and a half before you guys did. I went to the spa and I found, maybe it was because the cast members were so new and had been so trained, but I found that I couldn't get a direct answer unless I spoke it in Hawaiian.
Oh,
I went to I've told this story before. I went to the spa and they had a special where you could get the steam room, the sauna, and the whirlpool for a certain number of dollars. And I said to the lady, I would like this special. And she said, do you mean the Waka Paka Hoo Hoo? And I said, is that, well, this went on a couple of times. I said, I really don't know what it's called, but it's just the three. I don't want a treatment. I don't want to be massaged. I don't want a haircut. I just want... So, then you want the haka-maka-maka. And I finally said to her, listen, whatever you decide, and I mean, this went on for several minutes to the point where it was kind of annoying.
Yeah.
And I would say to her, is that the sauna, spa, and steam room, the sauna, whirlpool, and steam room? Because that's all I want. So I finally just said to her, listen, that's what I want. Write down whatever you think it should be called. And she said, well, we're supposed to use the real Hawaiian words. I understand. But you should have said to me, sir, that's called the...
right.
So it was almost like they had been told, don't use the English words. You have to say the words in the Hawaiian culture. And not everybody's in tune with that.
Right.
We actually found it to be too intense.
Right.
Their focus on the culture and the language was so intense. And then when we went out of the resort, regular Hawaiian people don't talk like that.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, that's changed almost 100%.
That's great
Like
to know.
I felt like it was there when we asked about it, and especially in the Olela room, which we'll probably talk about, the coffee bar. Because that's a specific bar kind of dedicated to the Hawaiian language.
Right. That's the one where the words are on the tables and
Exactly.
everything's labeled.
Yeah.
I understood that. And something I agree 100% with you. It was pushed so far over the top that you couldn't get a straight answer.
Well, I'm glad it changed.
Oh, we
Yeah,
never
me too.
experienced
And
that.
there's a balance, it sounds
Oh,
like.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. So moving right along to the rooms, we just want to talk about the rooms briefly. Do you have any photos maybe of a room?
Yeah, I do actually. These are Corey's photos from
Yeah.
when he was there. But
This is one
ours
of the-
ours were very similar. We had two beds, obviously, but we had a room facing the mountains.
Right.
So it was in the front of the resort. When you come in, but kind of in the back, it wasn't facing the ocean like your room was.
Yeah.
But I loved it. We had a nice balcony. We could see the mountains. We were kind of on top of the parking garage.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was perfect for what we needed it for. We've spent very little time on the balcony anyway. But
There are very few rooms at this resort that have bad views, because either you're facing the ocean or you're facing the mountains. There are a couple
And that
of
was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. Beautiful views both times. I will say this. I can't tell you specifically what they are. I don't remember. But there are ones on the side of the building where you're kind of overlooking services. Those are the only rooms. And there's very, very few of those. So, I don't want people to freak out and start going, I don't want room number such and such. They're very, very few.
For us, we were, like Sean just said, we were looking at the parking garage right below us. The first thing I'd say about that, it wasn't disruptive at all. When you sat out there, cars obviously were coming and going. I never heard it once, never bothered me. And we actually, even though you're looking at the mountain, with at least how our rooms were angled, we could still see out into like another bay that was probably a mile down the road. So we still had an awesome view.
Yeah.
I sat out there as much as I could.
And if you're on one of those top floors, I mean, these buildings are huge. They're massive, and you're gonna get a really good view. We like I said, I had an ocean view room, which included a view of like the pool area before you get out to the lagoon, and that was just absolutely beautiful. And those, and like you were saying, Craig, the soundproofing on those doors.
Oh, the doors were unbelievable.
Yeah. No, fantastic. But there's some really, I don't know if that the rooms are really overly themed like the lobby is.
Well, there's a lot of theming in the room. If you go back, I don't have them off the top of my head, but like the patterns in there that it's kind of like kappa, that sort of where the embossed patterns and stuff like that. The headboard is to like reflect like an outrigger canoe shape sort of thing. I mean, there's a lot of little details in there, and even the artwork up there on the wall. That's a local artist,
right?
The piece on the bottom of the bed, that's very Hawaiian. That's something that's a Hawaiian culture where they do a lot of the quilting work, hand quilting work. I think the rooms are beautiful. They're not over the top.
Right.
You don't have Hawaiian borders and wallpaper and stuff.
And you'll still find like hidden Mickeys. Like I don't know if you can see it in the picture now, but on that quilt John was just talking about, you can see a hidden Mickey, but just very subtle. Even like the carpet is even really subtle. Very comfortable rooms though.
That quilting is not that specific quilt, the Aulani one with the hidden Mickeys in it. That type of quilting is available as a souvenir in almost every tourist place you go. We brought some stuff.
Did anybody else get confused in the hallways?
It's easy to get turned around. Yeah, it is.
This is where it kind of was a little bit not themed well for me. I felt the hallways were a little plain and a little sort of, one monochromatic, and felt almost like you're in a hospital.
I guess that's what I meant by it was kind of, as you got away from the lobby, it felt a little impersonal.
Well, yeah, maybe in the hallways and stuff like that. But I mean, obviously, the pool area is
right.
I don't know if this is something that maybe updated, but there was a lot of artwork in the hallways now.
See, that wasn't
there. It was like
mural
a
and one
cloth
of the
wallpaper.
The only thing I thought was really cool, did you notice the air conditioning vents in the hallway?
No.
They're very graphic and very cool. They're, again, based on a ancient Hawaiian design. So.
Yeah. And you saw that stuff everywhere.
And that level of detail is incredible.
Yeah.
There was one thing about the rooms that reminded me of the Disney Cruise Line. You get every morning you get the daily Iwa or Eva. I don't know how you
it's
say
with a V.
The daily Eva, but they have a W in it. So it's those little things that I always mess up. So you get these things, and it's kind of like your outline of the daily activities. Just
it has the weather, it has the sunset, sunrise times.
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. That was nice. Instead of trying to figure it out.
There's a lot going on during the day at Aulani itself, and no, it's perfect because each day is different. And
because one of the things I think people go into this thinking, what am I going to do? This isn't Disney. I don't have a theme park to go to. What am I going to do every day? There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do at the resort. And we'll go into a lot of those details, but there's also a lot to do in the area. So if you're willing to rent a car and venture out, this is a multi-day vacation. I think people say, I don't want to go and lay on a beach every day. There's tons to do.
Well, just in retrospect, we were there for 7 days. We only went off property one day, and we still missed out on probably half the activities. There's just so much going on that there's not enough time to run around and do everything. You need a good, solid amount of time there to experience everything.
Now I know, John. In the new show, your rapid fire was we're now doing 5 nights for the price of 4. That's a current special that's happening at Aulani.
Correct. Yeah, this is just out. I don't know. Maybe Disney's listening to us, knowing that this is going to be our Aulani show, right in time for 5 nights for the price of 4, plus $100 off a resort vacation, basically to the end of 2013 at Aulani. And we talked about this too. Dreams Unlimited Travel gives a gift for booking your hotel rooms. Obviously, this is a Disney Vacation Club resort, so a lot of the people who stay there stay on their DVC points, but there are regular resort rooms available. You guys stayed in what would be considered a regular resort room. You didn't stay in a DVC room.
We did have a chance to go inside one of the grand villas, one of those corner suites, and that was massive. It was awesome.
So if you don't have DVC points and you want to stay there, this is an option for you to visit, an option for you to get a room. Again, we think it's it's on the high side for sure, but this is a high-end luxury resort.
Right.
This is
And it's
not
in
the
Hawaii.
Motel 6, right?
So other hotels, while we feel there's less quality, are just as expensive.
Right. This is not a cheap vacation no matter where you stay in Hawaii for sure. But yeah, you guys got to see the Grand Villa. You guys got to do a show from there. What'd you think?
It was unbelievably huge.
I had also seen some of the suites that they have at the Polynesian Resort, and it kind of reminded me of those one-level suites that they have at the Polynesian.
I want to talk a little bit about that. We took a tour of the Grand Villa as well. The difference between this Grand Villa and anywhere else, a DVC property anywhere else on Disney, is that you have the entire floor. You are taking up an entire back area of the resort, and all of them are on the 2 walls of the hotel that face out towards the ocean lagoon, which is very unusual. So you get that entire balcony for just
massive.
your family, and it's incredible. Again, that sort of open air thing where you can walk from one end of the balcony to the other is really cool. The rooms are huge.
Yeah.
You get a kitchen, you get a giant dining room area. So these are great resorts, great rooms. And if you're DVC and you're planning a family reunion, this is awesome for that. Because everybody can stay, but everybody can have their own room, have their own space. I think it's incredible.
It's bigger than most people's apartment.
Oh, it absolutely was bigger than my apartment. I think I said that on the show.
Yeah. So, does anybody else have anything to add with the rooms?
Did you notice the TV? Well, I know when we were there, I don't know what's changed since, but the TV in our room is interactive. You can see all of your PhotoPass photos on the TV right there in the room, which I thought was neat.
We didn't mess around with PhotoPass too much.
We saw that it was there.
Yeah.
We didn't do much of the PhotoPass.
Was Stacy on the TV?
No, I wish there was though. There was like an Aulani channel though. That
Oh, okay.
you got to do the musties.
You got to do the musties. You got to live it up.
The only thing I'd say about the rooms were, first, the beds were extremely comfortable. The
yeah.
rooms were great. I could have slept there every single day and not got out of bed, and I would have been happy on my vacation. But I'm kind of a sloth, so that just happened. And then for people who are addicted to TV like me, you get so many channels, and it's all back. It's not strange Hawaiian channels that
No,
you've never heard of.
I woke up every
all
morning to
normal
Roseanne on the
channels.
TV.
Yeah,
Hawaiian
You know you're still in the U.S., right?
I know, but it feels like an entirely different place.
It does feel like a
country.
different country.
Yeah.
Right.
It does.
We found that even when we were just driving around,
Yeah.
and we thought, wow, it feels so American. And we thought, okay, wait, you are in America, dummy. So,
All right, so now I think I want to move on to the spa and the kids club, and then we'll go into the outdoor pool area and that kind of stuff. I personally haven't been into the kids club. I know, Corey, you've been in there.
I went in there to take video and photos, but it's a really nice kids club. There's one room where a lot of the stuff on the walls comes from the Adventurers Club from Pleasure Island, which was you can tell. You walk into this. I don't know all the room names. I might have them somewhere on.
Right. You're actually walking into a house. There's multiple rooms. There's a kitchen. There's bathrooms. I mean, there's a living room. There's a back room, play area. It's unbelievable. This kids
Aunties, isn't it called?
Aunties. Yeah.
the level of detail is incredible, and they tie in the Adventurers Club through a story. As with all things Disney, it's not just, oh, look, we had stuff left over from the Adventurers Club. There's a story involved in how that stuff got there. So
The sad thing is they put that in a kids club where none of the kids are going to understand that. Meanwhile,
I wanted to
us
stay in
Disney
this kids
fans
club.
are looking in the window. Where's the thing?
Yeah, Craig and I went in like 15 minutes, maybe 10 minutes before they opened one morning. They let us in to come take pictures and stuff, and I loved it. It was unbelievable.
The interactive tables for the kids
tables,
playing games
yeah.
on. It was awesome.
There were just huge, like, comfy couches and stuff where they do story times. A huge fireplace with this.
Did you see the ceiling where it feels like you're underwater?
Oh yeah,
And again, I keep making this Disney Cruise Line reference, but it
sounds like
reminded me of the kids club you would see on a Disney Cruise Line with all these separate rooms and tons of activities. It's not the kids club you'll find at the Polynesian,
Right.
or any other the Wilderness Lodge. It's like being on a Disney cruise.
One of the things we learned when we were there was that it was definitely a synergistic relationship between Aulani, Disney Cruise Line, and Adventures by Disney. They brought in executives from all of those divisions and said, "Listen, we want to create all that in one spot."
I think it really shows.
They took
because,
the best of the best.
Right.
Yeah, you really noticed that.
And
stuff.
the counselors there actually did study with Disney Cruise Line.
Now, one of the things they told us when we were first there was that out in front of the hotel where you drive up, they were going to plant taro. And part of the kids' club activities was they were going to have the kids go out and farm the taro and make poi. And we just stood there with our mouths open and we thought, well, doesn't that sound like fun? It's a little Kathy Lee Gifford for me, but okay.
Serve it at Ama later.
Come and harvest the taro.
I think they did away with the, child farming. But that was originally part of one of the ideas.
They do field trips, and I think some of them you went to the pool, and they took them out in different activities and
Yeah,
stuff.
this is for ages 3 to 12.
And it's included, which is crazy.
Right.
That's a huge thing that you have to.
There are certain activities that cost more.
Sure.
Right.
But it's all included in the price
Yeah.
of the general going to the kids club.
And speaking of activities that cost more, next up is the Lani Vi Spa, Lani Vi Spa, which we got a little tour of the spa, and I mean this thing is just massive.
Yeah, it was. We actually, I think we showed up about 30 minutes before it opened, and we couldn't finish it all. We actually had to come back to finish some of the rooms.
Yeah, we were in there for, I'd say, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And we didn't cover everything. We came back for another half an hour on top of that. And just throwing it out there's going to be a YouTube video of the spa.
It's part of the videos that we're releasing. Yeah, the spa.
I actually visited the spa. I finally got my pass from the woman who made me say it in Hawaii. One of the things that I found surprising about it is how light it was inside the spa. For instance, if you went on the Disney Cruise Line on the Magic and the Wonder, the rainforest room is very dark.
Right.
On the new ships, they've put glass walls in and pushed it right out to the edge of the ship. So the rainforest room is very light and sunny. That's what this is too. While it's frosted glass to the outside, there's natural light, even into the steam room, which was really quite nice. I mean, there's a frosted glass window between you and the outside, but it's very light and very appealing in there.
Right.
I was jealous because the women's side had a lavender, eucalyptus steam room, but the guys only had one, and it wasn't scented.
Oh, no, it was when I was there,
Yeah,
but
no.
because the man came in and every once in a while a man would come in and they would bring you glasses or little cups of cucumber water, and he would put things on the benches.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No, I asked her and I said, because the women's side actually had two separate ones, a plain one and then a whole one dedicated to just eucalyptus.
no.
You open the door and your sinuses were cleared instantly.
Right. No, that wasn't the way it was when I went in the other one.
And they also have a teen/kids area in the spa.
Yeah, that's called Painted Sky. And here we go again with the Disney Cruise Line reference. But yeah, it's located right next door to it. We popped in. It was there was nobody in there, but there's a lot of
Same thing as before. Girls can do makeup there, and there's computers and stuff.
The spa is 23,000 square feet.
It's huge.
That's massive.
Yeah.
And
Including
I'm
the
not
outside areas.
I'm not a spa person, but one thing I liked was the outside area, which is the common area that it's anybody can really go. That has a treatment or whatever. We were there early enough where the landscaping hadn't really grown in yet, so there are balconies right above that can look down and see. It's not like you're just you're laying out nude or anything.
I've seen recent pictures, and the trellises are now completely
It's starting to
greened
grow in.
over.
The other thing I can tell you is, you're right, it is enormous. And at least in the men's side, I was there 2.5 hours, and except for the man who kept coming in and offering me water, I was the only person ever in that men's area.
Kevin came back and said, because I'm trying to relax, and every 5 minutes a man's in there offering me cucumber water. Finally, I had to yell at him, I don't want any cucumber water.
No.
Mahalo.
Now, the other thing was you sit there and you know how in the steam room in the sauna they have those, you're only supposed to be in here 15 minutes and here's an emergency ripcord. And usually there's other people around and you think if I pass out, there's going to be someone who at least roll me out of the sauna. And I was literally the only person in there. I went back to the room and I said to John, I think I'm lonely. It was a little eerie. There was no one else around except the man with the cucumber water who was in literally every 5 minutes.
So very bored.
What weekend? We were there on a holiday weekend.
Yeah, Memorial
right?
Day.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
we had pretty good crowds. I don't think that would have been the.
Although we
case
did
at this
notice
spot.
a huge change from the beginning of our trip until we got to the weekend. Like I was very comfortable. Like the crowds were very light in the beginning, and then once that weekend hit, it was crazy.
This is a resort for locals.
Right, I was
Locals
just gonna
use
say.
this
For
resort
weekends.
quite a bit. And
Right.
one of the things that Disney does, which is really great, is they almost always have a local rate.
Okay.
Hawaiians will get a special rate for staying there, so which I think is awesome for them to do.
Yeah.
A couple pieces of information about the spa I just want to give out. First of all, it's the only spa in a Disney resort that's not owned and operated by somebody else. This is a Disney-run spa. They built it from the ground up. They designed it from the ground up. So I think that's evident in all of those special touches that you see. And then that outside area was actually not part of the original design. We were there when they said, we just figured out we need to have an outside area. So I think it's pretty cool that they sort of thought outside the box and did that.
They've also done some other cool things. There's a place for if you have a late flight. There's a place to change your clothes. There's a place to store.
That's
your
not part of the spa. That's
No,
part of the outside.
well, you were talking about special touches that they've thought about.
Right.
They've gone further than they have in other resorts.
All right. Well, then next up we have kind of the outside area. The main area, in my opinion, of this resort is the massive outdoor pool area, lazy river area, and then all the most of the restaurants are featured somewhere around the perimeter of that. So I just want to talk about that a little bit. First of all, I guess we can talk about the pool and the lazy river.
It's honestly like a water park.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the scale of it is huge. The lazy river, it goes the entire length of the entire section of that in between. So the buildings kind of make a V or a U.
Yeah.
And so in between is where the pool area is, and then in the kind of further is where the restaurants are. But the lazy river just takes up that entire area, it seems like.
It does.
Yeah.
And there's lifeguards all over the place.
Everywhere.
So that's good too. But yeah, and that flows right into the lazy river flows right into a part of the pool, which is a volcano water slide, kind of like at the Polynesian. And in that area, before you go on that slide, there's shops where you can buy pool gear. You can get
Yeah, it's a little hidden shop.
yeah, but there's also like little snack carts all throughout that area, and I haven't done the water slide.
Yeah, there's two of them. There's one of the tube slide and also a body slide.
Okay.
Yeah, I just did the body slide. I didn't worry about the tube one. Yeah, they're really fun. I don't do slides often. I don't like going swimming at all. But so it was a little. I was
Don't like water.
I was stepping out of my comfort zone, but it was fun.
Yeah.
I did get yelled at because I went face forward with a GoPro, but
Oh, man.
it was good.
Oh, he doesn't do slides. But he's going to jump in head first. Just
Slide right down.
It's for the video.
In addition to the slides and the lazy river, there's also some quiet pools. So we want people to think that too. They don't want to just be in the mix of people being shot out, Craig being shot out face first at them in the giant pool. There's some, it's a sloth.
Yeah,
So-
and the quiet pool is located over there on the side where the spa is, because if you're in the spa area in the outside, you'd be able to hear people outside of that pool. So I can see why they put the quiet pool near the spa.
And there's that really great kids play area, sort of the water.
Yeah, I think it's called Menehune Bridge. Yeah. So Menehune are the little, I don't know, creatures. I don't know. They're like little mythical gnomes or something, but they're kind of like Hawaiian culture, and they hide them everywhere. So that was kind of like the Imagineer's touch, kind of like hidden Mickeys.
There's some
But-
very secret places. You
And
find
some of them are good Menahunis, and some of them are evil Menahunis.
Yeah.
But they're all pranksters, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So they play games. So the concept of this kids play area is all these menehune are like everywhere, and they're shooting water at you, and it's kind of like a bridge where you can walk across and just get wet.
But there's buckets that dump on you.
Yeah, it's like a
and-
splash zone.
Splash zone. I thought it was awesome.
It's
did.
really
I thought It was
cool.
really
Yeah.
great. So
There are 4 jacuzzis too, which I like. I mean, they're all kind of
yeah.
spread out, and some of them are hidden. But there's this infinity jacuzzi, which is the best thing ever. I mean, you're just sitting there and just looking straight over this edge and this beautiful beach past you.
Yeah, we had a rough experience in
I
that
know.
jacuzzi.
let's not go into that right now. People can listen to that show if they want to hear it. But yeah, and also the other thing too is not only that one, which is really popular, but there's some that are hidden. So you feel like you're kind of out of the way and secluded. So
That day we couldn't find one that was hidden enough.
Yeah. No, they're all over the place, and including the spa has some hot tubs as well. No, it's an absolutely beautiful pool area. I think it's very lively. It's just that's where all the action is taking place in that particular area.
and if you don't want to go to the pool, there's the beach right there.
Right, beach is right there.
Which
all the
is
restaurants.
unbelievably
It's
beautiful.
unbelievable, isn't it? What's really great is this area, because of the way the bay is laid out, you don't get the big waves. So it's great for families. It's great for little kids. You don't have to worry about rough surf or someone being pulled under. It's a very incredible shot.
And paddleboarding also, that since there's not a lot of waves, we paddleboarded for the first time out there, and it was nice to do that on water like that.
John and I did that too.
And they have
Yeah.
all the beach rental equipment out there as well. You can get
We did the
different boats.
canoes. We did we snorkeled. We did it all. We tried to do every single thing in that lagoon. I think snorkeling though, you don't really see much. Yeah, we were looking at sand. If you want to snorkel and see stuff under the water, go to the Rainbow Reef.
Yeah.
Where they have
Which is,
that.
it's cool
set.
that they have that there. It's kind of like similar to Typhoon Lagoon. They have the little shark thing.
Reef.
I don't think there's sharks in this one, is there?
No.
Rainbow
No,
Reef?
no.
I think it's just fish.
Just a
but-
bunch of fish, some hidden Mickeys, some hidden menehune, but the water is freezing cold.
Is that an
which
additional
It's an
cost?
upcharge. Yeah.
Okay. It is.
Yeah.
It does cost to do that.
Do you do the reef now?
Rainbow Reef, I believe so.
Interesting story. When we were there, it was not a charge. And what we heard was that Bob Iger went and visited the resort and said, "Why are you charging people extra to do this?
Oh.
This should be included." So it's interesting.
I'll confirm that, but I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure I saw
Is
a
it
sign.
a charge? It might be a charge just to rent the
It
equipment.
might be a rental.
right,
Yeah.
but there's no charge to actually do it. That's when we were there. That's the story we heard.
Yeah.
Which is kind of like a catch-22. You can do it for free, but you have to rent the stuff.
Right, exactly.
So also, as part of that beach area, of course, you have the restaurants, but before you go from the pool to the beach, right in the middle there's a walkway, and there's this big fire pit kind of near that hot tub you guys were talking about. And every night they light up the fire pit, and you'll see people gathering around. It's in your daily EVA. It's different cultural storytellers will come out at night and play the ukulele and tell stories, and it's a great way to end your night. It's beautiful.
Yeah, and the bonfire's huge.
Yeah.
Like it's this huge fire. And so Uncle Ko Aloha, who I talked to on our live show actually from Aulani, he was just one of the guys that tells the stories. But there are a few of them, and they get super into it. So like the stories are really interactive, and it's fun.
Was the Mackay Preserve open when y'all were there? The stingray encounter?
Did not see that.
No, I didn't see that.
Huh.
Now, okay, so there was construction going on
Yeah.
that side of the resort, which I don't know if we want to talk about this now, but I had no idea it was even going on unless I looked for it. You didn't hear anything. It was just, I mean, they actually made mention of it when we checked in, and they gave us a pin and actually kind of said, we're doing construction. Sorry if you hear anything. This is kind of just our kind of guest recovery kind of thing, even though nothing had happened.
Yeah.
But then I had no idea that construction was going on.
You'd forget it. The
Yeah.
only place you see it from is the beach, and you'd forget that it was happening.
Exactly.
Because you couldn't hear it.
I do want to mention, though, about the beach area that this beach, you might think it's all for this resort. You do share it partially with the resort next to.
Well, you
next
share it
to
with everyone. It's a public beach.
Right.
Right.
Every beach in Hawaii is a public beach.
No one can own it.
And
so
don't be surprised if you see a wedding happening every hour out
There's
on
a
that beach.
chapel next door.
Yeah, there is.
And it was, they would, the whole time we were there, somebody was in a wedding dress.
Yeah.
It was always somebody different.
And it was like Publix where people are taking a number and next. next.
We had missed a turn and ended up in there, and they had limos lined up. There was a wedding like every 20 minutes.
It reminds me of Forgetting Sarah Marshall. The line is like, "Oh, wedding in Hawaii, real original, guys." Oh man.
Yeah, so when you do leave the resort, you kind of go out through a little gate, and you're supposed to use your key card to get back in once you leave the beach to get back onto the steps. But it was never locked. It was just open.
Well,
so.
we were never there like at the late
I'm
night.
sure at like maybe 11 p.m. or something they lock it. But
No, they were never locked
All
at
right.
all. I mean, I was out there at the
3
crack
o'clock
of
in the
dawn,
morning.
and all weird times, and they never locked it once.
All kinds of weird times.
Yeah.
Well.
Me.
Which goes to show you that Sean's a sucky roommate.
I was singing too much in the shower.
It really was.
Did anybody else have anything they want to add about the pool or beach area?
No, it's the main attraction.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. I just wanted to mention the. I don't know if anyone else walked back to see where they show the movie on like Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. But the screen is just absolutely huge. Like we see them at all the Disney resorts here, and they're a good size. But this screen is absolutely massive. The lawn to do it on is like probably half the size of a football field. Like it's awesome.
Are you talking over by the quiet pool, that area where they do like the nighttime show?
Honestly, I don't know because I didn't even know where the quiet pools were. They were that quiet.
Well, there was a bar close to it.
That quiet.
No.
Okay. No, I figured you might know that one.
Speaking of which,
Actually, before we move on, I just want to say that Rainbow Reef does cost. So a one-day rental for an adult is $20. You can get one for the length of your stay for $40 per adult. So it depends on how many times you're going to go. If you're going to go more than 2 or 3 times, you can get a rated. So
And
it
I don't
says
know if they still do this or not, but they used to offer a package where you could get the snorkel equipment and the.
this says it comes with the life vest, the mask, and snorkel set. So
But also you could get the sailboat or the.
Yeah, we did the length of stay for all the beach rentals, and that's why we got to do so much because we knew we wanted to test everything out. I don't know if they still do that, but I would highly recommend just getting the length of stay on your first day there, and they give you a wristband that they know.
okay. Well, I want to move along to the restaurants. Aulani has 4. 2 restaurants, 2 bars, and then several different snack locations. But they're all kind of in that outdoor pool, lazy river area. Right off the lobby are 2 locations, the Olelo Room and Makahiki. So maybe we can talk a little bit about Olelo Room first. That is what you were referring to earlier, the cultural bar there.
So on the wall they have these kind of shadow boxes set up with little kind of tchotchkes or knickknacks, and then below is written that Hawaiian word for whatever's in that box.
It reminded me of the scene from The Color Purple where she puts labels on everything.
It's flashcards for
Exactly
adults.
what it's like. Yeah. When I walked in, I said, "Oh my God, this is The Color Purple."
Good, we thought eye to eye.
But it's really cool because everyone that works here speaks Hawaiian, and so you can ask them questions about that kind of stuff. And this is also where they had the coffee refillable stations. Right. So these mugs that we talked about in our last show, you get these refillable mugs.
See, now when we went, it was in the store off of the lobby. So they moved them to this location, or are they in both locations?
Soda's not here. I don't know where Soda is. Soda's at the quick service location outside?
There's usually one at the pool bar, and when we went, there was one at the store, the general store.
Yeah, it's not like the cruise line or the refillable mug stations or anything like that.
Yeah, but all I did was get coffee, and so we would go to the Olelo Room, and it was a Kona blend, and it was fantastic.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, but you can get breakfast here. Then turns into a bar at nighttime, full bar. So
This was a fun bar. It's a language bar, basically.
Yeah.
And again, it's indoor outdoor, so they open up these doors, and there's kind of like an outdoor seating, and it gets really nice at nighttime. They have, performers,
playing.
kind of like 2 guys playing a guitar and singing. So,
And Olelo is the Hawaiian word for language.
Oh, I did not know that. That makes more sense. You do
Now,
Mahalo.
we were following you guys along, and there was tweets about how good the food was and how much you guys enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Completely different experience than what we had. We did not find the food good pretty
We
much
found
anywhere.
it very, very limited. There was a very limited menu when we were there. And the other thing I would say was there were not enough options. Besides limited menus, within each location, the menu was limited, but there weren't enough locations.
Well, now they're part of that construction that we were talking about earlier. They're
adding like
bringing-
a full size quick service location.
Instead of just those little snack bars that you go up to, this will be,
Did you eat in the Olelo Room at all? Did you have any kind of food there?
Oh, actually, yeah. One morning I went and got like a muffin or something for breakfast.
We had a bar-y snack afternoon thing, and it was very, very expensive. And
What was that? We had like chicken wings, and we had like 3 appetizers or 4 appetizers, and everybody had a soft drink, and it was $140.
Oh, my
it
God.
was very expensive.
Yeah,
and
no,
the food wasn't very good.
We basically did that at Off the Hook, which was the outside pool bar. That's pretty much where we kind of got appetizers for lunch and stuff.
Lunch.
But they actually had kind of like a lunch menu too with burgers and fries.
It was a good menu.
Very good food. And I didn't think it was that overly priced. I mean, it's Hawaii, so
I thought the food was delicious.
It was really good.
And I'm sorry that you guys had that experience, but I'm glad to hear that
It's
it has
changed.
Well, I was going to say, I think
Better.
the good news is that we're hearing that it's improved.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really important.
And if the prices are more in line with what you would expect at a Disney resort, that's fine.
Exactly.
Right.
I mean, $140 for 3 people to have appetizers for lunch is a lot.
Yeah.
Well, they were even running lunch specials at Off the Hook. So it was a limited menu. It was maybe like 5 items, but you could, it was, I think, like half off. So it wasn't a bad deal.
Okay. And right next door to the Olela room, right off the lobby again, is Makahiki. That's where they have their character breakfast, which was an amazing. It's like everything you expect on a breakfast buffet, but then add some of those classic
Do you
Hawaiian
have the
things.
price for the buffet?
I don't with me, but I can get it.
One of the things I want to add too about the buffet, when we went, I assume it's the same. This is part of what Disney does is they are gearing towards the Japanese tourist. They understand that they're going to get a lot of people from Japan because of the flights are easier and Japanese people do go to Hawaii. So we found that on a lot of the menu, and especially on this buffet, there are items that were so specifically Japanese for breakfast, they were off-putting, like fish
Right.
and things like that. And it was just a little odd for us. But
That was,
But you see a lot of that even in the signage around the resort. You'll see
English.
English version and then the Japanese version on everything.
Yeah.
The other thing about this was we went there one morning to try and get in, and the restaurant was absolutely empty. Not a soul in there. And they wouldn't let us in because we didn't have a reservation.
I can say it's the exact opposite for us. It was loud and not empty.
Yeah, us
Yeah.
too.
Yeah, and the lady, it's very similar to Ohana in a way, just because it's a character breakfast, but then there's also like live entertainment. So there was this woman singing and playing a ukulele, very loud. There was kind of a show. They gathered gourds and stuff. They
paraded the Minnie and this woman paraded the children around, and then they banged on gourds.
Yeah.
Well, they wouldn't even let us in, so we didn't even get to
we did
in
have
there.
breakfast. Remember when we did the fam with our
That was a
agents?
second trip.
That was a second trip. And again, the food wasn't very good, and there was none of that character interaction and none of that going on. So it sounds like they're really improving.
I gotta say,
Really
the
taking
character-
steps forward.
Character interaction was great, and the food was fantastic.
We saw a lot of, you had mentioned a lot of locals will come and check it out. We saw the most during breakfast, during the character breakfast. There it is, a taste of Disney over there, and they can come and see the characters. So that's when we saw the most.
well, one thing to remember too, now you'll remember it, but characters aren't there every morning for breakfast. It's only on select mornings. So plan accordingly when you do it. Don't.
Right.
We must have been there on a non-character morning.
Right.
Yeah.
There was also a non-customer morning.
I don't have the exact price, but it was high. I'm just, how they did like the dollar symbol.
Yeah.
It was 30 something.
It was
$3 symbols.
That is expensive.
But I do remember it was expensive.
Did y'all do dinner there too?
No, we didn't actually.
I enjoyed dinner. Julie did not.
Was that also a
because
buffet?
That was also a buffet. I mean,
I don't remember that being offered when we were there.
It was
I enjoyed dinner because they had all these exotic, just different things that I would try. And
They had a little bit of that at breakfast. We had like these really cool Hawaiian hamburgers with poached egg
We
and
had
like
those too,
sauce.
yeah.
And, yeah, it was really
I
good.
remember when we were there,
Dumplings.
the only availability for dinner was ama ama. That was your only choice to eat.
And speaking of the most beautiful restaurant I've ever been in, Ama Ama,
Yeah.
overlooking the beach lagoon area, and you're in like these kind of, the buildings are kind of like thatched huts almost.
Yeah, there's no real walls. There's no windows. It's all open. It's a thatched roof, and it's absolutely gorgeous. Again, I'm going to be, broken record. We had a meal there that was absolutely awful.
us too. Our dinner there was horrible. Lunch, we had a good lunch, but our dinner was the worst.
In what's supposed to be their signature restaurant.
Yeah.
But in following you guys, it sounds like you guys had a fantastic meal there.
We were exhausted. This was our first night there.
Yeah.
And so it was, I remember being so dark. We were sitting
Yeah.
almost in this corner from the photo on the other side, actually, of the fountain. But yeah, I really enjoyed the food. It was very
Yeah,
expensive.
we also
It
had a
was
very
fish.
different experience. There were like 20 of us. This was as
okay,
a group. And it was
Service
just
was terrible.
service was
Food was
terrible. The
terrible.
food was cold. So it was not a good experience.
We had dinner that first night, and then we also had brunch, I believe, one of the last days. And that was good. I remember there were a couple service issues, but that was pretty rare, actually. That was just at that one brunch. But then overall, the resort, customer service was amazing.
Really
the cast
was.
members were just fantastic.
So you thought the meal at Ama was good?
Our dinner there was
I
fantastic.
did. I remember there was this weird Thai shrimp thing that Craig got that came in like this
I got
bag.
I got curry.
curry. Yeah. So that she brought it out and then like cut the bag open and then this puff of smoke came up on his face and then they did this weird, I don't know, this presentation thing. But yeah, it was really good food. I had a fish. I can't remember what type,
Good.
but
I'm really glad to hear that. I actually am. I'm glad to hear that it seems to be an improvement in the food overall. Because this was a huge concern for us.
Because it was our only choice, we would get in the car and go someplace else for dinner every night.
Yeah.
It just, there was no other option.
Well,
Yeah.
we did that too.
We ordered
did a little bit
room
of that.
service one time. And we got like tuna fish sandwiches and tomato soup, and it was $150. So it was ridiculous.
Well, I have to say it's definitely improved. In fact, I had a chance to meet the chef, one of the chefs at Ama, and that's another one of our videos that's going up, and we get to make a tuna poke.
yeah.
Poke. And it's really good. I mean, he was cutting that fish up right there. It was fresh. It was really good. So you guys got to check that out.
And then we were like wolves afterwards because there was this huge bowl of it, and I would not get away from it.
And then, of
I'm
course,
sure Pete did not eat any of that.
No,
No.
he sticked
No,
to
although
he
tried
actually he
it.
did try it, and he said he liked it.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Wow, I'm
it's getting a little
surprised.
more adventurous. We also have the off the hook pool bar, which was right next door to Ama that faces the pool, faces the beach, and that's where we spent a lot of time.
This is kind of like a sports bar. I remember
bar.
watching some Saints games over there.
Yeah, sports bar. They
watch
have
but not
lose.
in your face sports bar.
No, you have to
Yeah.
look up.
appetizers for lunch. Really good stuff. It reminded me of it's just a really fantastic pool bar with really good appetizers and really great drinks.
The bar
The
itself is
theming
beautiful.
it's like in a fishing village where fishermen would come and talk about that's the fishing nets right there. You're showing
The
the
light
photo.
fixtures are amazing. Up above, they have like these cool sculptures of fishing nets. But, ooh, exciting! Yeah,
No, I think they're beautiful.
Yeah, they are.
I'm not. Yeah.
And of course, John, like you guys were just talking about, kind of going off base, going outside of Aulani to do a few things. We had a couple experiences. Right across the street, there's the Monkey Pod restaurant and bar, which is fantastic.
That's new. That wasn't there when it wasn't complete.
Oh my gosh, that was awesome. We also got to do some excursions. We did the Ko Olina Ranch movie set tour where Lost has been filmed and Mighty Joe Young and stuff like that. So there's a lot of
Yeah, we walked across the street to Roy's.
Roy's.
Was great.
Oh, yeah.
If you want to say if you have a DVC room, there's a little restaurant across the street that you can probably a little store you can go
The
pick up.
ABC store.
Is it? Yeah, not ABC Liquor. It's
Right.
ABC.
There's
They have
different.
everything.
which wouldn't be a bad thing either.
ABC stores in Oahu are like Walgreens in Orlando. There is one on every corner, and sometimes two.
Before we go on talking more about that, we do have kind of like a wrap-up video that includes some of these things that we did at Aulani and outside on the rest of the island of Oahu. And Craig has put together a video for us on that. So you just take a look at that real quick.
All right, you ready to try?
Yes, I am.
Here we go. We're gonna koholo.
Really, Aulani has something for everyone. We really focus on the family, so kids and kids at heart. We do have Auntie's Beach House is probably the jewel in the crown for us. We want to encourage our guests to really go out and see Hawaii, Oahu specifically. Ko Olina Ranch is another exciting opportunity. highlight our spa. Lani Vai Spa is a great location that couples can enjoy together.
It's pretty.
Very nice. Very nice.
Beachside dining. You know, we have Ama Restaurant. It's a great location with a view at sunset where couples can enjoy dinner.
Instead of saying goodbye,
We say a hui ho,
hui ho.
and a hui ho means until we meet again.
Thanks, Craig. And thank you, Sean, for those wonderful interviews, which are also going to be part of our all of our videos.
I can't wait.
You know what the funny part is? It almost looks like, oh, just give it to Sean. Sean will do it. Sean, go do that. Pet the turtle. All right, I'll do it.
All right.
I'll do it.
Sean, pet the turtle.
Yeah, there's tons of stuff to do. Everyone always says that a lot. They say, I'm going to be bored. What can I do? I mean, Oahu is beautiful, and there is something for everybody. It really is. It's not a boring vacation at all.
I want to make one correction real fast. Somebody had mentioned that the Quiet Bar has been demolished during all the construction, so that's no longer there. What I have in my head as the Quiet Pool is no longer there, unless y'all saw it.
No, I was actually going to ask you about that when you talked about it, because I have no recollection of that.
Okay, then
so
that's-
that makes sense then.
Okay.
There's also a lot of things to do that are quite accessible if you want to rent a car.
Right.
Pearl Harbor is 10 minutes, 15 minutes away. John and I went to the North Shore, but we found that we really enjoyed going to Kailua. And I asked directions. I asked somebody in Aulani how far Kailua was, and she kind of clutched her chest and went, oh, that's very far. And I said, well, how far is it? It's an island. And she said, it's 20 miles away. So it was a 20 or 30-minute ride to the other side.
I will say traffic is unbelievable, though.
Well, once you get outside of...
Actually, yeah. In Waikiki, traffic was really bad, but we
I'm
drove
just
back
from our experience on the drive there and on the way back.
But I say you drive through some of the most incredible
Right.
scenery.
Well, you
Pete
also
was
did-
really excited about taking a drive around the island. That's exactly what we did, and we saw some beautiful
unbelievable.
stuff.
That was
we
one
had
of the
done that
best
with his
things.
mom, too.
Yeah.
There's that one highway that's always crowded. It reminds me of I-4. It's the interstate. What is it? Interstate
H1.
H1, yeah.
And it's an interstate. And you think, well, where's that going?
It's going to the other states.
Rent's a convertible if you rent a car.
Which we did.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the four of us backed into a
I know.
convertible,
I'm in the-
and it
I'm
started
in the back.
raining halfway through, so we had to...
We had a Jeep.
I forgot who told me this, but they said it's rude to honk in Hawaii.
Is it? I
Yeah.
guess
I don't have
didn't
any.
know.
I don't-
They're very laid back, and they're very sort of polite
You definitely feel
people.
that. I know it's kind of corny to think that it just feels different, but like you definitely get a different feeling from
Everybody's
the people
just
there.
hanging loose.
Yeah, very relaxing and easygoing and just nice.
Super nice people.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody is super nice there.
And especially if you are able to, like you said, rent a car or something, take that time to explore the island. Like we came across a little town called Haleiwa.
Haleiwa.
Yeah, and we got some shave ice, which you saw in that video at Matsumoto's Shave Ice, and everybody's lining up because it's everybody loves this stuff.
I
Do
do
they
want
still have a car rental place at Aulani?
They
They
do,
do.
but it's moved.
Okay.
It's-
One of the things that we found was that there's a large parking fee per day to pay to park at Aulani. And what we found is if you're not going to use your car every day, it was that actually worked out less expensive to rent a car for the day and return it for the day. That way you don't have the parking fee. You do have to go through the hassle of the rental process, but you don't have to pay to park.
Especially if you don't think you're going to leave that often.
Right.
So we had a rental car for the entire trip, but it kind of was a little wasted just because we only left a couple times. So I would really think and plan accordingly to when you want to leave the resort.
a piece of advice is that car rentals in Hawaii are actually very reasonable because it is it's a tourist place and there's a lot of people renting. So you can get a cheap vehicle, but again, parking is at a premium. And parking is not only expensive almost everywhere you go, but it costs to park. So
Right.
just something to keep in mind.
The other thing you would do is if you think you're going to want a car rental, make sure you have a reservation. We found that once we got there were a lot of places that didn't have cars for rent that day.
Right.
I think the parking was $35 a day, whether you valet or self park. So valet.
Right.
Yeah.
We found that as well.
Okay, guys, is there anything else we want to throw in there before we wrap up?
I feel like we could talk for another hour. but
Yeah, we really could.
We can't. We're hungry.
Every time we talk about Aulani, it's the same thing. It's like we just don't have enough
Yeah.
time. I think that, again, my big thing is this. It's not a Disney vacation. It's not a theme park. It's not running around every day. However, it's also not a Caribbean vacation.
Yeah.
It's not a laying on the beach every day. It's what you want to make of it.
Yeah.
So
I think that's one of the things that surprised me. I expected Hawaii to be like the Caribbean and sort of that Caribbean style, and it wasn't at all. It was all much different than what I expected.
And I would also recommend doing some planning and getting out, choosing what you want to do. If you do go around and drive around or want to see other things, like there were a couple things I knew that I wanted to do. The Dole Plantation.
Yeah.
I got some recommendations from, Corey, you said the Poke Place. We didn't get to do that, but just go in with kind of a plan, and then it's easier to go and hit that stuff when you do go over.
I think this is a must-see for any Disney fan. People will say, should I go to Vero Beach or should I go to Hilton Head? I don't think those are must-sees. This is something, if you're a Disney fan, you should go.
I agree.
And it's not necessarily convincing people to go to Hawaii. I think everybody wants to go to Hawaii.
Yeah.
It's on everybody's bucket list.
It's really funny.
If you haven't been, it wasn't on your bucket list?
No, as a matter of fact, when John said we have to go to Hawaii, I thought, I don't want to go. It just was never something I wanted to do, and I was shocked by it.
Yeah.
Now I can't wait to go back.
Oh, I'm already
I'd
planning.
like
I
to
want
go
to
see
go,
the
yeah.
Big Island when we're there. Kind of,
Right.
I want to go see Maui too.
Yeah, plan some more stuff to do outside of the resort.
And that's another point I just want to mention is we also learned that it was fairly easy to island hop.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, it's not, you kind of think, these islands are huge and it's hard to get to, but you could just grab, it's like 40-minute flight. Just go across
A
to
lot of
another
people
island.
do that. They'll stay
Yeah.
on one island and they'll island hop around, and they'll go to another island and stay overnight, experience what it has, and then go
Yeah.
back.
One of the pieces of advice I got was not to overdo that, because then what happens is you spend a lot of your time moving,
Yeah.
getting from one place to
Lot of
another.
travel.
Take it, if you're going to do that, sort of limit the number of places you hop to, because otherwise you're going to take your luggage with you and stuff all the time, and just moving from place to place eats up some of your precious time while you're there.
But it's a good option if you want to see other places.
Right. They're just suggesting that
Yeah.
you don't try and see all the islands in one trip.
I definitely left with an appreciation, like I said before, of the Hawaiian culture.
Me too.
We just absorbed as much as we could. I even found an artist that carves these. He carved this one, and we, communicated through email, and he would just send me the shapes, and it was just great. I mean, he would. You could just tell that he was passionate about what he was doing, and I just. I love it. I mean, I don't wear this shirt every day. I think I wore this for Halloween. It was Hawaiian, but,
Yeah. Tell you what, I have the exact same appreciation for that culture. It's like nothing here. It's a whole different atmosphere. It really is.
One thing we also wanted to mention, the excursion we did while we were there was the Kualoa Ranch.
Right.
And I think we all walked away extremely disappointed by it. It wasn't what it was advertised to us.
Not the experience itself. However, it was advertised as Adventures by Disney. So, okay.
Yeah, and it's just,
Yeah.
I think we should, it was a fun experience. We got to see a lot of cool Lost
And
stuff.
it was exciting to be there for movies
Yeah.
like Jurassic Park and all that stuff.
Just make sure you do your research on it,
Yeah.
before you book,
Yeah.
and make sure that's something that you want to do.
That was my point really with it. Like, we could have done a ton of things there. Just really, really plan ahead.
You felt like that was a waste of your time. You could have done something else.
I enjoyed seeing it just because we got to see one scene from Jurassic Park, and
Yeah.
Dustin and I,
Geeked out a little bit.
yeah, like I thought I was close to crying, especially like the Godzilla foot that I saw. Like growing up, I loved the Godzilla.
I was just
movie.
excited for Mighty Joe Young with Charlize Theron.
Yeah, so like as a movie fan, it was amazing. But then we could have also took the time to go to Pearl Harbor. We could
And
have,
honestly, the tour guide was a little goofy.
Yeah.
He was like telling all these funny stories, and funny is loose. I mean, they were kind of darky. So
Yeah, with these excursions, you commit.
Yeah.
You've committed for
It
the
was-
time slot.
Because you're on a
and-
bus.
Yeah.
You're stuck.
Is that something you could do on your own without doing the excursion?
I feel like it would take a little planning.
Yeah.
It would be a little bit more difficult just to arrange everything, but I think so. You just have to get your tickets separately.
yeah.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, that is going to do it for our discussion on Beyond the Parks and the Aulani Disney Resort and Spa. Next week, we have our next Beyond the Parks segment, and that is for the Disney Wonder and the Alaska Cruise. And so make sure you guys check that out next week. But we hope you enjoyed our show today, and we hope to see you next week. Have a great week, everybody.